Live on WFLA Now. Feel good and live your best life with Bloom Health Club. Here's Gail Guayardo.
We all know that health and fitness should play a huge role in our lives, but for many people, finding the motivation is the difficult part. Well, our guest today on Bloom Health Club is a woman who's making it her mission that you never have to wake up and dread working out because it's going to be a fun, healthy part of your life. Joining us now is the creator of Jac Fit, Jac Cordeiro. Thank you so much for joining the Bloom Health Club.
Thank you for having me.
So this is so cool. You have actually created a 6-week challenge, a 6-week program that helps people transform health and fitness into their everyday life, and you make it fun.
Absolutely. I'm trying to make it as though it's self-care, mind, body, and soul becomes second nature, just like brushing your teeth, a way of life, without making it seem daunting or having to check off the boxes throughout the day and having that anxiety of, oh, I still got to get that workout in, which is why we start our program implementing the consistency of the 5 a.m. club.
I love it. So tell me about the 5 a.m. club. It's kind of like a boot camp meets, fitness.
Well, it really is just the concept of, just getting your self-care concepts done first thing in the morning while you're able to focus just on you, not mom, not what you do for a living, not your partner, nothing but just you.
I love it. I love it. So I know you started out your career journey as an RN.
Correct.
So you got to see people up close and personal, end of life, emergency settings.
Mm-hmm.
Is that when it dawned on you that I want to pivot and I want to take my knowledge as a nurse and turn it into something that people can use every day, and it's almost like preventative care?
Yeah, so being in the healthcare sector for as long as I have, emergency acute care, whether it's end of life, terminally ill clients or patients, I should say, it was all together. So many times where I would hear my patients saying, if I just had known, if I just had looked into this a little earlier, if I just had listened to myself, I probably wouldn't be in this position facing terminal illness. So, knowing that I had this strong passion in fitness and knowing the healthcare sector, I'm like, there's got to be a way where we can teach women, men alike, that, to really look at things as a proactive, preventative approach to your health and fitness. So, the things that matter, cardiovascular work, whether it's 30 minutes a day, strength training to, defy the aging process, try to avoid the onset of bone density loss, all the things that happen during the aging process. So really just trying to, make that a point of the focus of the program. So health first, right? So that you can live longer, live healthier, and be healthier and feel better.
Now, your program is community-based, and there's also a lot of accountability in there, because I think that's the missing piece for so many people.
Sure. Is
they don't have someone to keep them going and to motivate them or to help them when they're facing self-doubts.
Absolutely. I think the forefront of any program, especially when you're looking into getting physically fit or just losing weight for whatever the goal is to take a hard look at yourself and going, what habits am I making that are not serving me? Is it the late nights and then, I can't get up at 5 a.m. because I get to bed at 11. Well, then look at your nighttime routine. Where does that need to be changed? Where can you make changes there to support and mirror your goals of to get up and get your concepts in first thing in the morning? It's not really the 5 a.m. hour. The whole concept behind it is when you wake up, whenever that is, you put in to your self-care bucket. Make that deposit in your self-care bucket.
And when we talk about this, you're talking about everything. It's the mind, the body, the spirit. It's all of it. The holistic approach to this
Correct.
Is what makes it stick.
Absolutely. Well, the first thing they teach you in nursing school, Florence Nightingale, is the holistic approach, looking at your patient's mind, body, and soul. And a lot of what I've used in my medical career, I've transcended and used that into what Jac Fit is now today. Because it's not enough just to give someone a nutrition plan, say, follow X amount of calories. If you stay under 1,700 calories, I promise you your body fat will drop. You'll get the goals that you desire to have physically. It's not just that. We have to look at what's going on in that brain and why you've decided to repeatedly make choices that aren't serving your soul or serving for your goal. Yeah. Really. Ultimately, it starts with the mental.
And I like that you draw off of your experience as an RN, because as we get older, I realize, I have way less time ahead of me than I do behind me at my age of 57. And it also is a big lesson that it's never really too late to jump on this journey, and your body will respond. A lot of people think, oh, I'm this age, or I've had this many kids. I am here to say, no, if you put in the hard work, your body will respond, and not just your body, but the way you feel mentally is just unexplainable.
Yes. Your mentality will define your age. Will define your age. Let's be honest. If you're putting in the work and you're working out every day and you're eating the food that's going to optimize your health and your function, your mind is going to follow that exactly. And you're going to see things better. You're going to feel better. You're going to have confidence. You're going to want other people around you to feel that. It is contagious. So the very things that you do in terms of investment into yourself are going to result in the better version of yourself. It's not rocket science. It's just there's 3 things we have to put in every day. It is consistency, it is discipline, and it is putting in the work.
I want to bring in our lead digital reporter and producer, Brody Waddell, who wrote an incredible article about you on bloomtampabay.com. So talk to me a little bit about your article, and do you have any questions for Jac?
I mean, I have a few questions for you that might go beyond like the usual thing. So this is like, obviously you said you can start at any point. Obviously the earlier the better.
Sure.
I'm assuming you've pretty much been like this your entire life.
You know what? I had older brothers, so keeping up to them, playing every sport, whether I liked it at first or not, it really just, it actually just molded me to know that when you feel uncomfortable about something or you kind of feel hesitant, that's the very thing you should do, because that's where the most growth happens. So yeah, always keeping up to them, being an athlete, grade school, high school, and into my career in college and university. I always felt like there was always something that I could improve on. And I'll be honest with you, I had parents that split up at a very young age. That helped me through the stress of that. Physical activity has always been an outlet. The only difference now is that being older, I know how valuable and important it is because of my life lessons as a nurse and all the things that I did as a younger person. I understand that, anything worth having is worth working for. But life is very precious, and it teaches you, life experience teaches you how precious that is. This is not to be taken for granted. We're only given one body and one set of organs. So,
of course. Yeah, I agree. But for the average person, how much of their like brain power in a day, how much of what they're worrying about, what they're doing, like maybe as a percentage wise, can they really dedicate to? I mean, obviously you say it has to be a lifestyle, it has to be a whole thing, becomes a part of it, but like you have to actively focus on it every single day. Some people just aren't. That's not their thing. They don't want to just worry about being fit and healthy and all the time and eating. Like,
right.
What do you say for these
people?
Well,
I feel like what we shouldn't do is we shouldn't focus on checking off all the boxes or being perfect. It's progress over perfection. If we understand that concept, all the anxiety all of a sudden kind of just dwindles and it settles a little bit more. And you're really able to understand, like, if you didn't have the best day, it's okay. So maybe you went off on the rails and you ate a lot of things that aren't working towards your physical goal, say for one given day. Be gracious to yourself, going, what, that is not going to be the game changer. If I did that 10 days in a row or weeks and it didn't make the change, of course it's going to add up and you're going to see that the weight gain and how you feel and all those things. But it's really just trying to be 1% better than you were yesterday. And I think when you kind of dial it back and you minimize the amount of stress or anxiety that it takes to get to a certain place and just go slow, then people are saying, okay, you know what, that is doable. So maybe today is 1%, but maybe tomorrow will be 2%. And then you go weeks and weeks and weeks with this consistent behavior. All of a sudden now you're looking back and go, wow, how far have I come?
Right.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Now, there is someone hugely popular and highly regarded here in the Tampa Bay area for his time spent here for spring training who touts what you do. Tell us a little bit about A-Rod. I mean, you've completely transformed him.
Yeah. So, the funny thing is people think, well, yeah, but he's a pro athlete. Why does he not know how to get into great shape, or how can he not make himself a better version of himself? Well, most of the time athletes are so busy and they're focused at being experts in their skill and what they do. They have a team around them that support them with, training, nutrition, all the things, right? To make sure they can optimize their talent. But in a lot of cases, they don't learn. They don't have time to actually learn and delve into the nitty gritty parts of what I
like
teach.
The nuances.
Yes, like the subtle things. So when I met Alex, I would say his habits were very inconsistent with working out and eating. He ate a lot of red meat, and there's probably a lot more French fries and chips that I think that he would admit to. But hey, you know what? We all have our vices. Mine's chocolate and peanut butter. But it's like little changes as you go. So for example, I said, you know what? Maybe Alex, try to minimize the meat you're eating. And after we eat dinner, let's go for a stroll. 20 minutes, half an hour. We can connect. We can unpack the day. So just doing that little bit of walking after you're eating, you're promoting digestion. You're promoting all the things so you don't go to bed feeling like that, that acid reflux when people eat and they feel uncomfortable. And the other thing is, I'm like, get up you don't have to get up at 5 a.m., but get up and make that self-deposit. And just those changes with those little tiny things, drawing back on the meat, maybe minimizing the dairy and, staying away from the nighttime eating. And ultimately, starting your day off on the right foot generally will get you in a right path to success and to expedite your results. The other thing I would say is that water, it's huge. We overlook it, women, especially menopausal or childbearing, or, we need water more than we think we do, right? So I focus on like everywhere you go, I don't care if it's a car, on the plane, wherever it is, have your water with you. And not, just plain water, not, a Perrier or sparkling water, just plain old water. That goes a long way too as well. So just the littlest things. I would say for him, the greatest amount of progress that he's made is that he's actually adapted those things I just spoke about into his life. And you can see physically, you can see he's stronger than Jim. He has more stamina. He's able to focus clearly mentally. He has more headspace to be able to do what he's doing in front of the camera and behind the camera, that kind of thing. Yeah. So yeah, great changes for sure.
Imagine it helps to not be so beaten down by having to do something so often as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's just, and if I have this question of like, what if I miss it on a workout? Will I lose my consistency or will I lose my practice? No, actually it's a discipline. If you're not feeling well, health should always be the forefront of any routine, any practice that you should make. So if you're feeling ran down, you know what, give yourself a pass. Just eat to promote that goal for that day. Be more cognizant of what you're eating. The functionality, you may not sneak in a couple of those, I hear this all the time. The mothers on the program are like, I'm unpacking their lunches from the school and then I kind of, eat a fish cracker here. I mean, half the granola that they didn't eat. I'm like, all those things add up. Now, should you crucify yourself for that? No. Just give yourself grace to go, you know what? Yeah, okay, I can see that. Next time I probably just won't.
Yeah, those things do add up. I remember those days. My daughters are older now, and they're packing and unpacking their own lunches. Right. But I do remember that, and it would come during my weakest part of the day when it's between lunch and dinner, and when you're really ravenous. And so, because I know you're a mom of two teenage girls, right?
They're 12 and 13. Yeah.
Yeah, almost a tween and a teen. Yeah. And it takes a lot to balance life. So you understand it from so many different lenses.
Absolutely. The bottom line is, people they'll ask me, Jac, how do you have enough time in a day? You just don't have the headspace for excuses. And it's funny, we make enough time and energy and space to get our nails and our hair done.
And to watch Bridgerton and stream every show.
Binge watch whatever Netflix show is going on. But, it's you have to put things in priority, right? Not only that, but if you feel like it's taking away from your family, include them in that. When I meal prep, and I encourage my clients in my program to meal prep Sundays and Wednesdays. So, you're starting off the day with like 3 days worth of like your proteins, your carbohydrates. And then by the time Wednesday comes, you're kind of running out of your resources. Then, do it again. But have your children come into the kitchen and help you cut up whatever it is. And you know what? They're learning. Now they understand the importance of functional food versus not. Doesn't mean that they have to eat the way you eat, of course, but they're seeing, and you know as well as I do, children see, and that's how they absorb. It's learned behavior, correct?
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Now, when it comes to the food, because I know everything is part of this program. I mean, you get the workout, you have 24/7 access to coaches, people to support you. Do you teach people to eat a well-rounded diet? Is this a specific diet? I mean, what do you subscribe to?
Right. So, I mean, for myself, I went plant-based almost 10 years ago, right? And that was just because of the experience of stepping on stage and seeing the bad with the good, like the healthy habits versus what's not a healthy approach to stepping on stage as a fitness competitor or bodybuilder, as I guess most people would know it as. So, I don't try to convert people into plant-based, but I do teach them the importance of implementing more greens and more plants in their life. So whether you're animal-based eater, you're pescatarian, or you're vegan, the meal program that I have with Jac Fit is interchangeable. So yes, you're expected to make sure you can recognize on that plate your macros, your protein, your carbohydrates, and then your veggies, should whatever it is that you choose to love. But I think the importance is understanding portion control, the frequency of how you feed your body, right? So it burns at a steady state like a furnace would, like as you're throwing in fire, so it doesn't dull and doesn't, spike. The other thing is it's all about understanding what's good for you. Just because, on my meal plan, there's 4 meals, the portions are set out for you and whatnot. But if you're a person that loves red meat or you love fish or, you're a vegan, it works for you because the program is designed for that. We have a lot of people in the community that are plant-based like myself. I've had clients that were like, what does plant-based mean? Like, don't get caught up on the label of what you're trying to eat. Just get caught up on the feeling you get when you eat the certain foods that you're being asked to eat. So whole foods is the number one thing on my nutrition. You won't find processed, you won't find alcohol, you won't find dairy products. And certainly, the focus and we encourage clients only water. I mean, sure, tea, coffee, whatever. There's a time and a place for everything.
Okay. So you talk about the food aspect of it, which is incredibly important.
Mm-hmm.
The accountability. How do people touch base with your coaches?
Right. So part of why I became a nurse was I always envisioned myself sitting down the bedside, and after the doc comes in and gives you the results or tells you, yes, you're discharged or you're staying here for a couple more days, I would always take the time out and go, how are you feeling? First of all, how are you feeling about this? Now, you were just told, say, for example, you have cardiac disease. There are things that we can do to improve your health. What are you eating at home? Take time out to understand, ask what they're eating, what they could do in terms of, make some progress on the nutrition front. How often are you moving your body? So in my program, because of that very nature of why I love that bedside manner,
Mm-hmm.
I implement the 10-minute virtual check-in. So it's a Zoom call, you and I, like this, talking for 10 minutes about what was your win from the week? What was an area where you felt you could have done better? And what are you really trying to get right now, here now? What is your goal, your acute goal right now? Let's unpack that and let's strategize so that we can make some gains for your next check-in, which will be the following week. They send in progress photos the morning of, a front, side, and rear view. And then I have them express their goals. So it's kind of like a submission form every week. And the photos alone keep people accountable because most clients are like, I don't want to see this. I don't even like looking at my pictures. I'm like, I promise you one day you will like looking at those photos.
And speaking of looking at photos, you are a testament that you must be able to get enough protein in a plant-based diet because you're very muscular. And, I think that is one of the main things that we talk about a lot on Bloom, the syndicated show, and on the Bloom Health Club, is the importance as a female, if you're trying to build strength and muscles, you really need to get that protein in.
Absolutely. But you know what, Gail? It's not only the protein, it's the carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are your fuel. Protein building blocks, yes, all those things. But if you don't have the energy to be able to replicate and develop and create more cells that are like lean muscle tissue, muscles, for example, you don't just get that solely from protein. You need carbohydrates. And the more intensity and the more drive and the more strength that you have during your workouts, that is going to be evident, right? With your nutrition and implementing carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are not the enemy. It is the type of carbohydrates, and it's how you eat them at a certain point a day. Try to find the most optimal time to consume them. In our program, I always say, you know what, your morning meal should look like something like oatmeal, maybe some egg whites, peanut butter. Those are your 3 macros right there: protein, carbohydrates, and fats. Or maybe it's, you want to do Ezekiel bread with avocado toast with a side omelet or whatever, or a protein smoothie. Don't be afraid to eat those carbohydrates, because if you kept them early part of the day and you do work out at the 5 a.m. club, you're going to burn that and then some. Yeah. It's all going to go to functionality and optimization of your body and what it needs to do to show you a little love back, because you just showed it first thing in the morning.
Yeah, especially if you perform athletically.
Absolutely.
It makes a big difference.
Absolutely. Yes. Recovery time, you won't be as sore as long. You'll be able to go a little bit longer, your endurance, all the things. It really does benefit you.
So what do you think about like intermittent fasting and stuff like that then?
That's a good question, Brody. I was just going to say that. In our program, we do practice intermittent fasting. I've been doing that for probably almost close to 15 years now.
Oh, yeah.
And I've had 2 children within 2 years, and I know like most mothers, like it's the baby weight, how do you get that off? Or how do you get to a place where you feel comfortable like you did prior to having children? And I say this, first of all, if you haven't tried intermittent fasting, you really need to. And, try to find the window that works for you. So some people will go 16 hours. Some people will go 18. For me, my sweet spot's 14.
Okay.
So right after I'm done eating dinner, I go for my mini walk, whether it's with Alex or my girls or whatever have you. And then I either drink water the rest of the night or a little like a bedtime tea or something. And then I get up, I train, I do cardio first thing in the morning, unpack the mental, focus on what's going on in the day ahead. And then I get to my strength training, and that my lift usually takes around 40 minutes. By the time I'm done lifting, I get home and I get my girls up for school and we have breakfast together around 8 o'clock-ish. I would say my fast is around 14 hours. Sometimes it's 15.
And you work out like that on an empty stomach?
Yes.
It's great. Yeah.
Your body gets used to it, right? Number one. And if you're consistent with it, it'll show you that it's, your abdominal area, especially when women, we're so focused on like, how do I look 3 months pregnant all the time? Like, are these hormones? 9 times out of 10, it's food and something that you ate last night that you shouldn't have. But we don't think about that. We stop the conversations intimately in our brain at some point, and we just kind of go, the easy answer is this. And we stop. We don't answer ourselves. We're not truthful with ourselves. But it's building that intimacy within yourself, that those conversations that you would with your children or your loved ones if they came to you with a problem, right? It's coming back into you and really just facing up like what it is that you need to change. But intermittent fasting is by far probably, I think, the most effective for pretty much anyone that's ever come into the community of Jac Fit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing it probably 6 years or so too.
Yeah, you find it's effective?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's great.
It's 12 hours long enough?
12
12
can
to
be,
13.
Better than nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. If you take this little nugget home with you, if anything, after you're done eating dinner, you're only then eating if you are emotionally. You're not eating because you're hungry.
Yeah.
See, I'm just, because I always try to like eat early. My kids make fun of me.
Right.
But I used to get up at 1:30 to go to work every day for years and years and years. So I still am in the practice of getting dinner served by 6.
Right.
And then if you're wrapping up and cleaning up by 7 and you wake up that next morning and like you say, you can get a good 12, 13, 14 hour stretch just by breaking the fast, which breakfast is supposed to be.
Yes, exactly. And I think the important thing is what are you eating when you break your fast? Because if people are fasting, intermittent fasting, and they're going to things like burgers, fries, you're doing it the wrong way. That is just completely negates the fact that what your goal is, what you're trying to achieve, you're not going to get there. It's your intermittent fasting, so it's consistency, but it's also what are you training your body to eat in terms of like functionality? What are you feeding it so that it can break down and utilize it as a service to your body as opposed to service to your emotional status, basically, right? So it's just as important to really understand what it is that you're eating and why you're eating it, and not just doing it because Jac Fit told you so, right? And that's the whole part of it. We teach people to understand, eating for function versus emotion.
Does it help that you've created this community? Because I think a lot of people feel alone in their health and fitness journey.
For sure. Well, I think like anyone else, most people that are coming into it lost themselves. We have moms of 6. We have women that just, children, no children. They just kind of gave up on it. They lost their way, that younger version of that vivacious version of themselves. And I really think that a community really helps with that. People want to feel like they belong to something or to someone or a bigger purpose, right? That connectivity, that synergy, that feeling that you get. So when you're around like-minded, positive people, you have no choice but to mold into that.
It's contagious.
Right. So, and that is probably the number one thing, that feedback that I'll get from clients is, you know what, Jac, I love the fact that I get a one-to-one on coach, but I really love the fact that we have this group chat that we have during the 6 weeks. We have people sharing pictures, their wins, their stories, and all the things. And a lot of time vulnerabilities that people are scared to say, like, hey, wait a minute. She feels like that. I feel like that too. Okay, I'm normal. I love this community because it's real. And it's something that you can't really put into words, but you just feel so darn good being in it.
That's awesome. That is awesome. I did not want to dilute what you're doing by asking a lot of personal questions about Alex Rodriguez and everything. But my husband, Mark, has a question. He wants to know if A-Rod is as nice in person as he seems. Like my husband's constantly like, yeah, if I ever saw that guy, I would just want to tell him how nice he seems.
Yeah, no, he's a unicorn. I don't even know if the term unicorn applies to a male, but if I were to say he's a unicorn, he's probably one of the most kindest, most thoughtful, generous people I've ever met. None of us are perfect, but the reason why I think we gel so well and our energies are so well blended, and it just works. We have 4 girls between us, so that's a lot of estrogen, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he's like, Jack, I don't know, but they have a great mom, and my girl's father is great, and it's great that you have the support. But what it really is it's the ability to really be grateful every day when you wake up, and he is that person. I mean, he's had a history and he's had a lot of shade thrown at him, but you know what? I feel like any person that's willing to own up to it and then try to become better with themselves and make it their mission to be a better version of themselves, you have to, a standing ovation for anyone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the people that, repeatedly make the mistakes and do the things that, obviously aren't, admired or maybe even frowned upon. And they keep making those mistakes. I'm like, okay, well, maybe that person is that person, but you can never fault anyone for trying to be a better version of themselves.
Amen
and
to that.
He truly is. I mean, it's funny because we just sit, like, on the weekend, we were in Miami and we're watching, I don't know, we were watching the basketball in Dallas. Of course, the T-Wolves are out and, they're amazing, but they did a really great job. We have to be proud of them. But we're both sitting there going, you know what, isn't life great? We're watching a basketball game. We're in Miami, like everyone's healthy, all the things. And when you stop and just even mutter those 2 words like that between like you and your spouse, for example, you realize you're like, you know what? That is true. And it gives you that clear vision of like, things aren't so bad. Glass is half full. And so we're a lot alike in that way. But I don't want to speak too highly of him because people think I'm BSing here, but he's actually a great guy.
No, I believe it. He seems that way. Well, listen, you're an amazing woman. We celebrate what you're doing. I think it's incredible the lives that you're changing through Jac Fit and just through your own personal passion, because I've spent, almost half the day with you now, because if you tune in on Wednesday, you'll see Jac on Bloom, which is our globally syndicated show headquartered here in Tampa, Florida. We're super excited that she's now an official member of the Bloom Health Club. So, Jac, thanks for everything. Brody, thanks for all you did to support this amazing woman with your article.
Thank you,
We
Brody.
appreciate you.
Thank you, Gail. I appreciate you guys. Jacfit.com is where you can find me.
And that's Jac, JACFIT.com.
Okay.
Okay.
You know what? I'm probably more enticed to like questions. Obviously we get questions and you're inundated in your DM box. So that's why I have a great team that helps me out with that. But even if it's just a question, it doesn't even matter if you're trying to join or not. I'm going to take the time out to answer you. Because if you took the time out to write that question down, whether it's like you think it's the most simple or most difficult question, I'm gonna take the time to answer you, because I've had a lot of hands extended to me, and I just know that paying that forward really does count.
Well, I've already submitted my question that I want to be part of this 6-week challenge and bring you back to Bloom, in the future when you're not busy.
Absolutely.
And like maybe see how that all plays out and let people experience it alongside. I think that would be really fun TV.
Absolutely. We'll crush it together.
All right. Thanks, Jac.
Thank you.
All right. Until next time, everybody.